Head over to BoardGamePrices.com and find the best prices for The River and thousands of other games. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today we're going to be going down the river. We're going to be constructing different buildings that give us some barns and storage shed and gathering different resources in this resource management worker placement game called The River by Days of Wonder. They usually put out maybe one huge release a year. This is it. It's for 2 to 4 players. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get their own boat with their own meeples. They'll be using these to place out on a board in worker placement style to gather different resources throughout the game. So each player gets their own board. There's their meeples in their boat there. And over the course of the game, they're going to be getting new tiles going around the river. Now this river here and this board is going to help you see where you can store goods or resources and how many of certain resources you'll get when you place workers. Let's talk about how it works. Now here is the board, and over the course of the game, players are going to be playing their meeples or workers onto different spots in clockwise manner. So let's take a look at these spots. So for example, you could place your worker here, and here you're going to get +1, so you're automatically going to get 1, but you also get as many of these as showing on your board. Now everyone starts through a drafting process with 1 tile, but you can see here I have a stone and here I have a stone, which means that when I place a worker, by default I'm going to get 2 stone, but because I went to that extra spot I'd actually get 3. And to store goods, you're going to be placing them on those barns. The barns can hold any resource, but you only have a certain amount. And so after you go on a spot, it's the next player's turn clockwise, and they'll be placing workers and getting different things like this. And you can go different spots. This one gets you brick, these ones get you wood, stone, and this one gets you a wild turkey, which essentially is a wild resource. But as your board says, you can always turn in any 3 resources to be used as a wild. And this continues clockwise until all players have played all of their workers onto the board. So let's talk about all the other places. Now one of the main ways to get points in this game is to turn in certain resources like 1 wood, 2 stone, and 3 brick, and you'd get 6 points. But if you think someone else might get it before you, you can actually go to one of these 2 spots and reserve one of these. So you might be able to say reserve this so that nobody else can get it. Now you could go to this spot. No, some of the spots you can have as many workers there as you want. Other ones, they have certain spots, certain numbered of spots. Here you can actually construct one of the buildings, either one that you've reserved or one over where we actually reserved the ones from. And so you can either spend the resources and get one of the cards that are here, or you could spend 1 less resource than that's on the card if you reserved it. Remember, we reserved this earlier. Let's say I had 3 bricks, and of course resources are always on here. You would take these and put them back into the right supply, and then you would finish this. Now I only need 3 because I reserved this and it's always 1 less. And essentially you can go like this. This is a building built, and you can cover those points so people don't know how much you have. And when you do complete a building, you get the top one of these, and these points diminish as they go down, so the faster you do buildings, the more points you'll get. And you'll actually place them right on here face down so people don't see the points. Now, when you complete a second one, you'll actually get an additional worker that you'll be able to use. And you can also place a worker here and take one of these tiles. Now notice, this is the 3 and 4 player side of the board, and here there's like 2 spots for each person to go there. Now you can take one of these terrain tiles, and you'll be adding it in this order down the river like this. And what this does is you'll be placing it here, and now you have more storage, and now every time you go to a brick spot you'll get 1 more brick. But as you add tiles, you'll be covering up things. So this one I'll be covering a wood, but I'll also be getting a wood and a stone and a storage. So you'll be giving up things but also gaining things as you build things on your river. Now you can also go to this spot and take the first player marker. That will allow you to be the first player next turn. So this will continue each round until everybody's out of workers. Now over the course of the game, you're going to be building, and when you build here, this shows you that you actually have to take one of your workers, and basically you're going to place it here, and at the end of this round here, now from now on, you're going to have 1 less worker to play with. So even though your engine sort of gets stronger, you actually have less workers. When you pass here, you'll lose 1. When you pass here, you'll lose 1. When you pass here, you'll lose 1. Now at the end of the round, these all get discarded and refilled, and any empty ones here will get filled up just like that. So at the end of the game, you're going to get points for all of these tokens you got, all of the buildings that you constructed, and you're going to get points based upon what your columns you have. If you have the same terrain type, and some of them are 2, they can act for either. We have desert and desert, you're going to get 2 points. Mountain and mountain, you'll get 2 points. But if you have all 3 of the same, you'll get 6 points. You add them all up, whoever has the most is the winner. Keeping in mind, you can still have some different tiles that do different things. Like this will get you 1 point for every forest terrain type, so you might want to get a bunch of those. This will get you 1 for each one of these that you have a brick on with a max of 3. But you also get 1 point for every 3 resources you still have on your board as well. But that's pretty much the game in a nutshell. All right, well, there's the river. Now, I've already done sort of a sneak peek video of this game, and I also put it on a couple of my game lists for Gen Con, Essen and things like that, because I had a chance to play 2 rounds of this at Gen Con, and I was intrigued by it. Now, let me tell you what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it, because my thoughts have changed quite a bit now that I've had a chance to play it some more. First of all, what do I like about it? This is an intro to worker placement game. This is one of those games that's, I would call it a gateway game. You could teach people that have not played hobby games this game and teach them the basics of worker placement and resource management, because it is literally that simple. I mean, with 2 players, you can be in and out of this game in 20 minutes. I mean, it can be a filler game for 2 players for sure. So it's very simple. The most unique thing, the thing I liked the best, was sort of building the tiles on your river. And as you do that, you become more powerful and your engine gets built, but over the course of time, you're gonna get less workers. So your engine increased, but you have less workers. It sort of balances things out. Sort of the most clever thing and the most different thing about this game, I would say. Also, trying to figure out what to cover up with what. So, hey, I'm taking this tile, I'm gonna be covering up this stone. Am I going to be covering it with something that's other than stone, that doesn't have it, meaning I'm going to have to start focusing on things that don't have stone? Or do I replace that stone and maybe a couple of other things? And so you're constantly trying to figure out what to add, what to cover up, and things like that. I also like that it's kind of a clever thing where you're trying to line up light type terrains for big points in the end. That's sort of a clever little thing to do. Things that gives you more things to think about. And also there's that space on the board. I don't think I showed this in the overview, but there's a space that allows you to swap 2 tiles on your board. So you could have something where you play something where you really need it for that end game scoring. Now, things that I didn't like about this game, I feel like this game kind of falls in a little bit of no man's land, where it's good for non-gamers. I don't think it's quite deep enough for gamers to come back to this over and over again. But for the non-gamers, it's not like a theme or a thing that's like exciting. So it's like, if you want to bring people into the hobby, you want to get them into like sort of something that's cool and something that's exciting. And yes, this will teach and will be fine to teach them worker placement and resource management, but is it going to be exciting? Is it going to draw them in? I don't think so. I think this is sort of more of the same with a couple of twists that I just showed you. It's not a bad game. It's a fine game. I just think it's like, I don't know who the target market is for this. I think it's going to be too light for gamers. And I think it's going to be not exciting enough for non-gamers. That's just how I feel about this one. For me, it felt samey game after game. After I played a few games, I felt like I was doing the same things. I felt like the choices were somewhat obvious for me. And it didn't really hold the legs I hoped it would when I played a few rounds of this at Gen Con. It didn't quite do what I hoped it would. And this one really didn't leave an imprint with me. It's not bad, but not great. It just is what it is. I think it was somewhat forgettable. So for me, I'm a little surprised because this is Days of Wonder and I love so many of their games. Ticket to Ride, Small World, 5 Tribes. 2 of those games are my top 10 of all time. They make fantastic games. I'm just a little surprised that this one was theirs because they had been doing heavy and heavier games and they went the other way and went super light. And for me, it just didn't do it. And I'm not sure the people that would be in this market would get excited about it, unfortunately. And that is the river. Upgrade your gaming experience with Game Toppers. And until the end of the year, with the huge Christmas sale, get 15 to 20% off accessories, thematic mats, storage bags, and rail bundles while supplies last at GameToppersLLC.com.